Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1973's Sleepyhead. This is directed by Joseph Sarno, and this is a very unknown film by Joe Sarno in his X-rated hardcore output that he had, which is not a lot. But this is one of them. 1973, an extremely unknown film, and this is put out by Video X Pix Presents. There's the back there. Pick this up off of diabolicdvd.com, and Video X Pix does, I guess, primarily adult cinema, and this is from 1973, Joe Sarno, and this is definitely one of the odd titles in Joe Sarno's catalog, although, you know, as I reviewed in this YouTube page, Young Playthings, and then even the one with Harry Reams, Operation SS Wolf Cub. I mean, Joe Sarno has a lot of very interesting films in his catalog that I'm just diving into. And here is one, Sleepyhead. Now, that actress is not even in the film, but she looks vaguely familiar. Looks like she could be from Touch of Genie, which is another Joe Sarno film that I reviewed, and possibly at the end of Teenage Hitchhikers, possibly a famous adult actress at the time, and I don't know her name per se, with a wig. So let's get into Sleepyhead here. I have some notes up above me here, so you might see my eyes revert here and there. So let's get into this film, because this is a very unknown film. This is an adult film from Sarno. And the majority of the stuff that he did was softcore, and supposedly his wife has said in an interview that primarily his reason for not liking to do hardcore films is because of the pacing of the film, that it would somehow screw up the pacing of the movie itself. Now, this is obviously a Joe Sarno film, though, with the relationship complexity, the sexual repression in the story, lots of complex emotions and triangles and love interests, almost that soap opera type of complexity and drama, repressed women, secrets, a religious sister, dreams of the nighttime and dreams of the daytime. This is a very, very unique film that just so happens to be X-rated. So let's get into this film. First and foremost, the music and the sound design for Sleepyhead. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, the beginning of this movie, the way it just starts, and I don't believe there's any credits in this film, but the way that it just starts, it's dark, orchestrated, horror, moody-like music. Really, really great stuff. There's a little bit of kind of random, laid-back 70s orchestrated type of music that stops and starts weirdly somewhere in the middle of the film. And then there's some orchestrated music that's kind of dramatic at the end of the movie. Other than that, there is no music. This is a very silent movie. The natural sounds, and you know, in this particular case, the talking, the walking. You can hear cars outside of the apartment they were in, or the house that they were in. The sounds of birds outside, and of course, left to the natural sounds of sex, the moaning, the grunting, the screaming, and even the talking. Within the sex itself. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Well, later, next couple minutes. This is a very, very silent movie. This is not something that you'd be accustomed to in an adult film. There's none of that, you know, funky, groovy disco porno music. You're not getting that in this movie at all. You are left in silence. You know, bookended with music, but left in silence, which gives it a very unnerving, emotional, dark, real, weird vibe. Just like when you watch any movie with very sparse music, especially a horror film, you know, it could be very more unnerving than with music. You know, the lack of sound can be deafening and can be its own version of music. So the movie starts, Sleepyhead starts like it's a horror film, almost like it's a Jean Rollin film, in the way one of the characters is dressed, and the religious, you know, the aspect of dreams and the subconscious and desires and repressed desires and forbidden desires. And we have this interesting spotlight in the darkness. And I believe, I'm just getting into Joe Sarno, but I believe that he utilizes that in his other films. I saw a trailer for his film Marcy, which is also very rare, that Code Red put out. I don't have that yet. I'll probably buy that in the future. But it looked like there was that spotlight amidst the darkness where there's a light on the face, and the face kind of leaves the light and goes into the darkness and goes away from you. There's that happening at the beginning of the film with some very kind of gothic, almost Jean Rollin type imagery, or a robe. There are edits back and forth throughout this entire film that are very interestingly not interested in time. Things happening simultaneously, or kind of in blips, cutting out time. Even in the sex scenes, you know, it was these two people doing this, and then the next scene they're doing something completely different. And so there's that kind of aspect, not just with the sex, but with the drama, with things happening simultaneously in different locations. It's very interestingly abrupt and weird editing in the film. There are two distant shots I remember. One in particular in an outdoor park, which almost reminded me of the park in Swedish Wildcats in a way. But this outdoor park, it could be, the camera just stays there, silent, barely making out the people or the imagery. It's just silent. You hear some birds, and the camera just stays there, completely still, until you can see that there's two people walking up. For like for seemingly a lengthy period of time for a shot like that. As a matter of fact, Joe Sarno's camera is very, very still in this movie. Very slow, very... there's not a sense of energy in his, and I'm not saying that in a negative. It's very still, almost as if he's just taking photographs. The camera's stagnant and very subtle in this film, and I found that very, very interesting, and especially in a film like this. Now, we have some big adult stars in this film, for the time, for the 70s, and I believe some of the 80s as well. I'm not 100% familiar with all these people, but you definitely see some people in here. In particular, we have Tina Russell, who was in A Touch of Genie by Joe Sarno. We have some hair in this film. One female in particular, man, I mean, she looks like an ape. I mean, there's hair absolutely everywhere. Legs, armpits, groins going down her leg from her vagina. I mean, it's everywhere. It's craziness. If you don't like that, you're going to be repulsed. And then, it's interesting. At first, it's not so explicit. And then it gets more explicit. It's almost a hardcore X-rated film done in a softcore world. You can tell Joe Sarno is filming an X-rated film as a softcore director, which gives it a completely unique and otherworldly vibe. In terms of the sexuality of this film, this is an adult film and it's X-rated. We have oral, we have intercourse, we have ejaculation, we have fingers in the butthole, we have orgies, we have all of that. We have very vulgar, kind of explicit sexual language, kind of what so many people would call porno language, stuff like that. But that's not, that's all until we really deviate in the Joe Sarno world. And the deviations is that even though we have all this real stuff going on, the way he's filming it is not gynecological. He's not looking at money shots. It's not done in the typical adult way. The camera's very stagnant. It's very still. It's just there. And a lot of the times it's close and you can't even tell what body part you're looking at. You can't tell whose leg it is or what position they're in or what arm or what face or anything, which makes a very weird world for an adult film. Now, also for the first hour of this 90-minute film, we have kind of sparse, sex scenes with they're not that long, and with drama and with dialogue and some tension. Now, the interesting thing is there's tension all over this film. And I know Joe Sarno is known for female orgasms. I have to say, some of the craziest, it's almost violent in the emotional intensity of the sex scenes in this film, of the orgasms, even men included. Very, very intense, violently physical. Abrupt, almost looking like somebody's having a seizure, and screaming and emotion and wildness. I think one woman in here that I read somewhere is from The Devil and Miss Jones, which was before this film. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of emotions from the storyline enveloping within the sex in the film. A lot of times people will call adult actors, they're acting. And a lot of people might just think, no, they're not. They're just having sex. How are they acting? In this film, in Sleepyhead, you can see the storyline erupting through the sex. Yes, you can see the storyline. You can see the drama. You can see the emotions. You can see the intensity. You can actually see the acting. And I got to tell you something. Tina Russell is amazing. When I first saw her in Touch of Genie, and then I see her in Sleepyhead, she is an unbelievable actress who did adult films. And I would say she is above par. I mean, she did it all. I mean, she could do regular drama. She can do dialogue, everything. And the way she does her sex scenes in this film carries the story into the sex and makes it that more intense, dark, emotional, weird. We have themes of incest in this film that could be disturbing. We have rape. And the ideas of rape and the benefits of, the negatives of. We have very interesting themes of religion and family and repression and free love and secrets and the definition of love in light of religion, the forbidden desires, emotions, and jealousy. And when I say religion, we're talking about Christianity, particularly in this film, which is very interesting as the Bible is a prop in this film, utilized by one character in particular, and then as the storyline moves, it gets passed to another in a way to a completely dumbfounding ending, which is just weird. And is it comical? You don't know. Now, I'm really going to say that this is a very, very interesting, dramatic, emotional, weird film involving two sisters. And the end of this film is like a one long sex scene, an orgy of sorts that is filled with darkness and emotional intensity. When's the last time you heard something like that? I mean, really, the way it's subtly shot and the story and what you know. And Tina Russell is very sexually attractive. I always thought she was. She's my favorite in here. But there's a variety of situations that could be very disturbing. This is Sleepyhead 1973, Joe Sarno. Thank you for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page. This is quite a unique adult film. Holy crap, is it tense.